It's called a mayfly. The shortest mosquito is not 1 day, I think. Mosquito is more than 1 day. But mayfly, there's a fly. Nice. Mayfly is 1 day. A butterfly. A butterfly is about 14 days. Some tortoise and turtles live for 100 years. And trees, Sudeep Bhargava, you know how long trees live, Sudeep Bhargava?
Thousands of years, sir. There's one in Lal Bagh which is said to be 1,000-year old.
Correct, you're right. Tree can live up to 5,000 years.
The jellyfish is immortal.
Who's that? Somebody's.
Navjot,
Bolo Navjot. Can you speak? If you identify, Bolo. What did you say?
Jellyfish is immortal.
The moment it is immortal, it is not a living creature. The moment it has no life and no death, it becomes nature. Are we clear about it? Is the picture, Navjot, I hope you're clear. Anything that is a living organism must be born and must die. A mountain is not born and does not die. The ocean is not born and does not die. If the moment you are not born and you don't die, then you're not a living being. So Sanjay Das, are we clear? There are two things to keep in mind. One is a lifespan. A lifespan is how long a particular creature can live. So Sanjay Das, how long do dogs live? You know?
Yeah, 12 to 14 years.
Excellent. What about cats?
Cat's expectancy, I think, is 7 to 8 years.
I don't know. 16 years. I believe 16 years. Somebody who has got cats is telling us. So the point is, every creature God has, look at how God has made. Scientists are questioning the existence of God, how beautifully God has created. The problem is we don't know God. We think God is a statue, God is a saint, God is in temple, God is in church. We don't know God. But the creator of this universe has so beautifully made some creature to live 1 day, some tree to live 5,000 years. Human beings have a life expectancy of up to 100 years. Ajitek, 70 to 80 is the life expectancy, you're right, in India. But the lifespan, Ajitek, the lifespan of a human being can be over 100 years. Do you know, Bridget, do you know who is the oldest person in the world? Do you know, Bridget?
How?
Who is the oldest?
I don't understand the question.
Which person in the world has the longest years, number of years? 90 years, 100 years, 110 years, 120, 130. Who is holding the world record?
It's a Chinese. She is a woman. She have 144.
144 years?
Yeah. She is in a record Guinness, I think.
Okay. I don't know, because according to Guinness book, I think somebody called Marquess is holding the record. Sudeep Bhargava checked. Correct. 122 years. Sudeep, the name is Marquess, right? Am I right? The name is some Marquess. So my point is, we human beings can live 80, 90, 100. But do you know, in Africa, people live only 50 years. And in Japan, people live 90 years. Why is it that in Japan, people live 90 and in Africa, people live 50? It depends on the healthcare. It depends on so many things. Now, what are we trying to get at? Today we had a very different, it's a non-spiritual kind of a discussion. But at the end of the day, it is spiritual because it is talking about life. How long are we going to live? What are we going to do in this lifespan? Why I'm talking about this is my new book, The 4 Quarters of Life, is what we must understand. For example, a child, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, you can't expect a child of 10 years to become enlightened. The child doesn't know the meaning of enlightenment. The child knows ball and doll. The child doesn't know. But as we grow, our faculties develop, the mind develops. That's why you are licensed. You are given a license to drive a car. You are given a license to marry. You are given a license to drink alcohol. Why? Because your mind has developed. Your ability to discriminate has developed. My dear friends, today's discussion is to push you into questions that will try to make you understand the meaning of life. Okay, you get licensed at 18, 20, 22, 24, 25 years. That's the first quarter of life. You're learning. The second quarter of life, you start working. You're working, you're earning, you're doing something else. Then what? Then are you just waiting to die? What are you doing? Why are you alive? What is the purpose of your life on earth? Are you just alive because you will die? Or is there a purpose? So these are the questions we have to ask. We have to ask, we have to investigate, we have to realize the truth. Administrator, questions today.
First question, Bridget.
Bridget, first question, Bridget. Bridget's question I have is this. Shivoham, I saw that you have a lot of books. Which should I read? Okay, Bridget, good question. Very good question. You know why? It's a good question because people don't find out what to read. They start reading. And then they ask, am I reading the right book? No, that's not the way to do it. You don't start reading a book. The good book to read, if you can get your hands on a book of Tattva Bodha or Atma Bodha. But actually, I would suggest you read a book I have written on. It's called Neti Neti Tattvam Asi. Can I send you the soft copy? If I send you the soft copy, you can even print it there. You can send that to a printer and make a spiral bind.
Okay.
Or you can read the soft copy if you like. That will give you many concepts about life. It's called Neti Neti. You know, yesterday you told Neti Neti yesterday. Remember you told? I remember.
Neti.
Yeah.
See,
You read the book Neti Neti.
Okay, thank you so much for your answer.
Because it will help you understand who you are. It will help you understand why you are here. It will help you live every day with meaning and purpose. It will help you to get happiness and peace. Okay. Thank you, Bridget.
Thank you
Sudeep
so
Bhargava.
much.
Shivam, sir.
Shivam, Sudeep.
So first is just a statement. I hope my statement is correct on the basis of what you just talked about. That licensing is a very, very good analogy that you gave, because I believe that maybe my mistake, we are reading some scriptures which we are not even licensed to read. We read them without license and then misinterpret them. And that would
Absolutely.
be a
Oh,
very
you can
bad
go
thing to
around.
do.
No, you can go in circles. You can read
Yes.
some. You can read some Ramayana, and after reading Ramayana, you can just go round and round. And under what did Hanuman do? Hanuman bought this jadi booty in that carried the mountains. Now, okay, you read it. You don't understand it's a mythological story. It's an epic.
Right.
So it's very important that, see, the problem is, though, Sudeep, since you brought about that point, religion is supposed to be a kindergarten. It's supposed to teach us ABC of God and stop. But people, they stop going to kindergarten and they go to school and college and university. But where religion is concerned, they are in the religion till 80 years old. They go from religion to the graveyard. And they literally take ABC all their life. They don't learn anything more.
True.
So don't mind me saying, but this Ram Janmabhoomi, for example, and all these things are making people mad. Ram, you must love Ram. You must love Rama. But Rama is not the physical form of Rama. You have to go beyond. So therefore, you're right. You are not licensed to read. See, you read these kathas, Amar Chitra Katha and Ramayana and Bhagavad Gita, all these things. As a child, you read all these things and then grow beyond it. Grow beyond the literal, what is literally written, and try to understand what is the depth, what is the meaning beyond it. So Sudeep, continue your next question.
Yes, sir. Now, my question basically is, sir, that can the past karmas that I did in my previous life, can those karmas affect my present karmas? And I'll specifically mention a word here, samskar. Can the samskars, is there a connection between them? Because why I'm asking this question is because my personal experience, my brother, if you meet him, is very diagrammatically almost opposite to what I am.
How is your brother connected to you in where karma is concerned?
No, I'm taking me to that point because we are born in the same family.
So what?
Something in the past life he must have done, I must have done, so we ended up in the same family. But then what we are doing after that is all different.
No. There is no connection of you and your brother having any joint karma, any karmic relationship.
Okay.
Please take it off your mind.
No, that's because we ended up in the same family. That's why I said.
You ended up in the same family. That is your karma, and his karma brought you together to face a life journey. Okay, are you telling me that two brothers? Are you telling me that Mukesh Ambani and Anil Ambani, they came together and both are having the same life today? One is a billionaire, one is a beggar. Then what? So what I'm saying is, just to understand, there are two aspects. Our past karma will bring us into a life that is independent of everything else in this world. Your past karma brought you to be Sudeep Bhargava. Your past karma brought you to your parents. Your past karma brought your nationality. Your past karma... See, therefore, can you even fathom? Can you fathom 8 billion people being born and karma and actions? It is impossible to understand how God does it. How God is able to control the life of billions of people. And you can't equate this karma. You cannot give this karma. You can say $1 is $1 is equal to 80 rupees. You can equate. €1 is equal to 90 rupees. £1 is equal to 100 rupees. You can put a currency exchange to it. But karma you can't. So don't even try to equate karma. Don't think my brother and me have got similar karma. No, you and your brother have nothing to do together. Sorry, you have nothing. God has created us to be genetically created from a parent, and our physical body may be, but we are not the physical body here. What are we talking about? Two twins. Two twins have dramatically different karma. They don't have the same karma, sorry. They're genetically the same. That's the body. But we are not the body. See, we get carried away. So, Sudeep, you're going back to your original question. Your original question was something like,
can the past karma affect new karma, the present karmas, through samskar?
Okay, please understand. What does your past karma do to Sudeep? Your past karma creates your present circumstances. Are we clear about that? Any doubt about that?
That is, can I call it as a prarabdha karma? That is what I get in the beginning.
No, don't do prarabdha. All very confusing. You remember use simple English. I don't use high fonda words, then you will go round in circles.
You taught me these words.
No, I taught you, but not for the group. This group you should not confuse.
Okay, fine. Sorry.
Your past karma, whatever is your past karma, the cumulative past karma, has brought you here.
Correct.
That is simple to understand. When you are here, you have a free will. You can do what you want. That is karma. What you can do what you want means that is your karma. Your past karma doesn't control your present karma. You can do what you want. Present karma is free will. It is 100% free will. You can change, therefore, your past karma by your present karma. Now, many people don't understand this. Many people, for example, people think thoughts are karma. No, thoughts are not karma.
That I understood.
Yeah. So your past, okay, now let me explain to you a situation. Suppose your past karma make you a prisoner for 50 years. Now that being a prisoner may control your karma. That's an indirect way of controlling your karma. But even as a prisoner, maybe you can do karma that liberates you from the prison. I don't know what it may be. Suppose you get an opportunity. Let me give you an example. Suppose my past karma made me a prisoner. I'm in the jail. but I want to be enlightened. And I'm in a jail. And I say my past karma is controlling my present karma. But I watched three prisoners have made a plan to kill the jailer. And I saved the jailer from being killed. So the jailer finds a way of making me free from the jail. So that was my free will that got me free from the jail. Now I can work towards what I want to work. So I'm just giving you an example.
Right.
Did you get my answer?
Yes.
Next question. Komal. Are you going to ask or should I? Okay. I think Komal is sent by text, so I will read it. Where is Komal? Komal. Your question, Komal, is this. Sir, naam japna zaruri kyun hai? Naam japna isliye zaruri hai because naam japna means repeating the name of God. If you repeat the name of God, that is bhakti. You build a connection with God. If you don't build a connection with God, then what are you doing? Then you're having beer and wine. See, every human being has to do something. Every human being, you can sleep for 8 hours, 9 hours, 10 hours. If you can sleep more than the 10 hours, you're a kumbha karna. Means you're not naturally, you can't sleep more than 12 hours every day. But when you wake up after 8, 9 hours, 10 hours, whatever time, what do? You have to do something. Now, some people may just be earning money. Some people may be just fishing. Some people may be just playing. Some people may be, some people are playing cards. I know people every day they must play cards. You're saying Naam Japana. They don't know the meaning of Naam Japana. How they will do Naam Japana? Full time they only know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, Jack, Queen, King. They only know, that's all they know in their life. Cards. They sleep also cards. They wake up also cards. There are many people whose life is gambling. Are you getting my point? So Naam Japna zaruri hai because the bhakti, devotion, bhakti mein hai shakti. That bhakti, when you love, suppose you say Hare Krishna, you build a connection with God. You build a relationship. Now that should go beyond. Only Naam Japna is not enough. Naam Japna zaruri hai because it starts your relationship. But don't take Naam Japna to your grave. If you keep on doing Naam Japana, Naam Japana, Naam Japana, Naam Japana, Naam Japana, till you reach your grave, if you say Hallelujah, 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 what is the use? Go one step further. So Naam Japana is just an initial step. And it helps you build a connection with God. If you don't do Naam Japana, my last answer, then instead of you connecting with God, you will connect with dogs. You understand what I mean? Which dogs you understand, no? The dogs will take you to the pub. The dogs will take you to the race course. The dogs will take you to drugs. The dogs will take you everywhere. So either you connect with God or you connect with the dog. You decide what you want to do. Thank you.
Last question, Girish.
Girish.
Shivam. It is said that on enlightenment, our karma gets burnt, goes into ashes. But it is also said, even after getting enlightenment, our body may suffer prarabdha karma, like great saints getting cancer and all. These two aspects are not understood when we compare these two terms.
I like Girish asking questions once in a way, but he asks amazing questions. The last question I don't remember, but you asked a very good question last time, and now you're asking another very good question. So let us understand. It's a very simple, Girish, it's a very simple thing to understand. Let's understand. When you're enlightened, your karmas are no more. You use the word term, they burnt into ashes. No, the karma, there is no karma for you. The law of karma for an enlightened person is zero. You may have karma for 100 years, 100 janmas. You may be having millions and millions of karma. But the moment you are enlightened, the moment you realize the truth, the moment you are liberated, all karmas disappear in a moment. In a flash of a moment, the karma disappears. This part you have understood, and this part I don't think you're asking me a question. This is a statement you're making. We keep this aside. This is correct. Now you asked a question which said, but even an enlightened person like Ramakrishna Paramahansa, for example, got cancer, and the body is suffering the prarabdha karma. So these two things don't match, because why Ramakrishna Paramahansa is suffering for cancer when he's already enlightened? Please pay attention. The enlightened being does not suffer. The enlightened being is not the body. The body suffers. The enlightened being has nothing to do with it. The enlightened being laughs. If his hand gets cut also, if the enlightened being's hands get cut also, he'll say, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. Because it's not him. It's just a hand. Some enlightened beings, some saints, some swamis who are realized souls, they are tested. Life will test them. To test their enlightenment, sometimes their body catches fire. Nothing matters to them. Because true realization is neti neti. True realization means I am not the body. I am not the mind. The prarabdha karma is not coming back to the enlightened being. The enlightened being, Girish, has already dropped all karmas. Are you getting the point what I'm saying?
Yes.
What is happening to the body is just like saying, if you're an enlightened being, if you keep your slippers outside the house, which is 20 years old slipper, and somebody comes and robs that 20-year-old slipper and runs, will you run out of your house without shoes and you'll hurt your feet and run behind him to catch the 20-year-old slipper? Why you will not do it? Are a 20-year-old slipper, man. Let him run and take it and go. I will buy a new one tomorrow. I'm just giving you, because it doesn't matter to you. See, you that 20-year-old slipper, hard, what is it? Let somebody take and go. He must be such a poor man that he's robbing 20-year-old slipper. The realized being, the enlightened being is not affected by the body. So that's why the prarabdha karma which you are talking about is only viewed by the world. The people view it, but for the enlightened being, there is nothing. It is just one drama. It is just one natak. And he's happy. He will smile. He will laugh. Nothing matters. So are you clear, Girish? Is it
Clear, but one more query on the same topic.
Yeah.
What happens to our vasanas when we get enlightened? There is a subtle difference between vasanas and karma.
What do you understand by vasana?
That is a tendency engraved in our mind from past lifetime.
So when the enlightenment being realizes there is no mind only, then where is the vasana? If the enlightenment being says there is no body and there is no mind, then where is the vasana? The vasanas also drop. The enlightenment being lives in a state of Sat Chit Ananda. Sat ke chit mein रहता, आनंदा में रहता, सच्चिदानंदा हाल है जो सच का एहसास से होता आनंदा में रहता जो सत्य का चित्त करता. Only the one who realizes the truth. It's not easy. The moment you realize the truth, you're free. But you must realize the truth. Why we are meeting every day, Girish? Why this effort to meet every day, every day, every day? Yeah, because it's like cooking. If you're cooking and if you switch on the stove and after 5 minutes switch off, again switch on, again switch off, again switch on, again, it'll never cook. You have to go on cooking, cooking, cooking till the cooking is done. So you have to go on asking till you realize.
Amma had a question.
Yes. Will you ask? Yeah.
She asks,
yeah,
whatever karma we do, either
yeah,
positive or negative, the reaction of it will have to be experienced by us, so
yeah,
that it gets neutralized.
correct.
If we experience something in dream, whether
Yeah.
it is to some extent a neutralization of that karma, because even though it is illusory, we experience.
Yeah. Maybe. I think it's a very. I have never heard a question so interesting like this. So compliments to Amma. It's a Amma, very good question. First of all, so Amma is asking if in the dream. Sudeep, what an amazing question, right? In the dream, if we suffer, then will that suffering also be part of? So when you ask a question like this, I have to ask myself the question. And when I ask the question, it's like this. If you are suffering in the dream, Girish, who is suffering? The mind and ego is suffering. If the mind and ego is suffering, then it is nullifying. It is adjusting the karma. Because you are, whether it is a waking state or dreaming state, both the states are illusion. Both the states are mithya. So I think, yes, that if you dream something and you are suffering in that dream, it adjusts karma. Just as if you dream that you got a lottery and you're celebrating in the dream, that is also adjusting your positive karma. So both ways, I think, because you are feeling happy, right? So you are experiencing that. See, what I want all of you to understand, you must not believe any answer. You must understand the answer. And you have to relate. Amma, you understood Amma, or should... Girish, what language Amma speaks, Girish?
Amma speaks English also. She will speak now.
Yes, Amma.
Oh, hello.
Method. Question.
Let us speak in the language she is comfortable, whichever language she is comfortable.
Kannada is more comfortable than English.
ಮಾತಾಡಿ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತಾಡಿ ಅಮ್ಮ.
ಅದೇ ಇದು ಡ್ರೀಮ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾಣುವ ವಿಷಯಗಳು ಕೂಡ ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಮೈನಸ್ ಆಗಿ ಬಿಡ್ತದ ನಮ್ಮ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಕರ್ಮಕ್ಕೆ ಅಂತೇಳಿ.
ಹೌದು, ನಾವು ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದೆ. ಡ್ರೀಮ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ಖುಷಿ ಆಗ್ತೀಯಾ, ಅದು ಖುಷಿ ಆಗ್ತೀಯಾ ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ಸಲ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಡ್ರೀಮ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ದುಃಖ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು, ಅದು ದುಃಖ ಆದ್ರೆ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ಸಲ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅದು ಡ್ರೀಮ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಅಕೌಂಟ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಅದು ನಾವು ಯಾವ ಬುಕ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಓಡೋದಲ್ಲ. ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಯಾರು ನಮ್ಗೆ ಅದು ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಅದು ನೀವು ತುಂಬಾ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಕ್ವೆಶ್ಚನ್ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರು. ಬಟ್ ಅದು ನಮ್ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಅದು ಡ್ರೀಮ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಅಡ್ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಅದು ನೀವು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೀರಿಯನ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಮೈನಸ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೀರಿಯನ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಅಡ್ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ.
ಅದು ಈಗ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಲೈಫ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಮಾಡಿದ ಕರ್ಮಕ್ಕೂ ಸಹ ಇದು ಕನಸಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾದ್ರೂ ಪರಿಹಾರ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತಾ?
Girish, what is she saying, Girish?
The present karmas we do that in this lifetime, whether that also gets adjusted by the dreams. It is very difficult now, once again.
No, so see, understand a point. Let's understand the principle. Principle is this.
Correct.
The principle is, okay, let me change your question into a very interesting thing, okay? And Amma nodbeku, Amma, you must explain this to Amma. Suppose in the dream I'm doing good work, then am I earning karma? Dream nali ಏನು ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಕರ್ಮ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಮ್ಮ. ಡ್ರೀಮ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಕರ್ಮ ಬರಲ್ಲ. ಡ್ರೀಮ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಬರಲ್ಲ. ಡ್ರೀಮ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾರಿಗೆ ಮರ್ಡರ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆ ಅದು ಬರಲ್ಲ, ಅದು ಕರ್ಮ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಅದು ಬರೀ ಡ್ರೀಮ್. ಬಟ್ ಅದು ಡ್ರೀಮ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ಖುಷಿ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೀರಿಯನ್ಸ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಅದು ಅಡ್ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಮತ್ತು ದುಃಖ ಅಡ್ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಈ ಜೀವನದಲ್ಲಿ ಏನ್ ಕರ್ಮ ನಡೀತಾ ಇದೆ ಅದು ಡ್ರೀಮ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಅಡ್ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. ಬಟ್ ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಯಾರಿಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ, ನಮ್ಗೆ ಅದು ಯಾರಿಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. Nobody knows this answer. Anybody who says I know the answer, ಯಾರು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತು, ಅವರು ದೇವರು. ಕರೆಕ್ಟಾ? ಯಾರು ಹೇಳ್ಬಾರ್ದು, ಯಾರು ಸ್ವಾಮಿಗಳು ಬಂದು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತು, ಬೇಡ ಅದು ಹೇಳ್ಬಾರ್ದು. So the truth is, any saint saying I know the answers, it is not correct. Bridget, are you understanding what we are talking, Bridget? So she's asking the question, Bridget. She's saying, if in the dream, if I suffer, is it adjusting my karma? Yes, because you experience suffering in the dream, so it's adjusting the karma. And in the dream, if you celebrate, it's also adjusting the karma. So that's the answer. But you don't create karma in the dream. What you do in the dream is not real. You don't create karma. So my dear friends, any more questions? Ajitek, last question for the day. Ajitek, puche.
शिवम सर.
शिवम अजित.
शिवम सर, अभी जो टॉपिक पे बात चल रही थी कि रामकृष्ण परमहंस जी को कैंसर था, तो सर जो एनलाइटेंड बीइंग होते हैं उन्हें क्या, जैसे उनको कैंसर था तो कहते हैं कि कैंसर में बड़ी पेन होती है, तो उन्हें पेन भी महसूस नहीं होती थी, फील भी नहीं होता था, मतलब क्या है?
पेन बॉडी को महसूस होता है, लेकिन ये बॉडी में हूं नहीं ना. See, difference is this, Ajit. The difference is, if you or me get pain, what do? We do like this because we are suffering. Enlightenment beings doesn't do enlightenment is enlightenment being is like that.
सर उनको मतलब पेन बिल्कुल नहीं होता क्या?
नहीं, पेन बॉडी को हो रहा है, लेकिन वो जानता है कि मैं ये बॉडी नहीं हूँ.
अच्छा, मतलब पेन हो रहा है.
हाँ, the body experiences pain, but the realized soul knows I am not the body.
सर जब तक बॉडी है उनको कुछ तो फील हो रहा होगा ना कि
of course बॉडी को फील होता है.
आत्मा जब तक शरीर में है,
the body experiences the pain, but the enlightened being does not suffer the pain. The non-enlightened being also experiences pain, but he suffers. He suffers the pain, but the enlightenment being does not suffer the pain.
मतलब due to mind he suffers.
Yeah, but to mind and ego, body, mind, ego, all the three. The body transfers the pain to the mind. The mind says I am suffering, and the ego says I am going to die. The ego says I am suffering, but the Atma says, "अरे body, mind, ego suffering. I am not suffering. Body को pain है, होने दो. क्या होगा? कब तक pain होगा? Tablet लो, pain को कम करो. क्या होगा? हंसो, laugh." So you may laugh at it now, but when the realization comes, then you realize. Thank you, Ajitek, for the lovely question. My dear friends, right today we had some very interesting questions. I only would like to thank you all for coming with such amazing questions. I am grateful to all of you, and you come. And today even Amma asked a question. Thank you, Amma. And Girish also asked an amazing question, and I spoke in Kannada. I'm sorry, some of you don't understand Kannada, but it's my third language. So I speak with folded hands. I bow down to you and look forward to your presence every day on Ask Air. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure.